Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. I am so excited about today's show because I am going to be celebrating the one and only Kathy Buckley. I have to tell you, even before getting started here today, she had me rolling in the aisles, as they say. She's one of the funniest people on the planet. We are having a few technical issues here, so hopefully we'll get through this. I hope that you're not all getting a lot of feedback out there. But Mercury is definitely in retrograde today. So, Kathy, I want to first of all ask you, how are you dealing really with the world we find ourselves in right now?
How do I feel in the world about what?
How are you feeling with COVID and everything that's going on around us?
Doesn't that tell you this is called hair? This is called, you can't get it cut, you can't get it colored. You know, I put out a bra for this, okay?
Kathy, I did too, just to let you know.
Okay, good.
Good. So we're in the same boat. But how have you been dealing with everything? I mean, today marks 341 days since our theater shut down here in New York. What did your calendar look like before everything shut down?
It's amazing. I mean, it really was amazing to me because I was just doing my taxes and I looked at my calendar and there was just nothing on there like after March. You know, I was so busy and then having to cancel things. But I'm going to be honest with you, Richard. Being a comedian and a motivational speaker and stuff like that, traveling for the last 34 years, I really enjoy having my ass in a chair in my house.
You know, yesterday,
I don't get to sit down that much, you know, other than an airplane.
Yesterday, I interviewed Andrea Marcapici, and she said that for the first time, she's actually taken the time to make her house her home.
You know, I totally relate to that. My problem is, now that I'm not working, I can't do anything to make it a home, get all the money for it. And it's so funny because you're home and you're like, where the hell that crack in the ceiling came from? Where did this come from? But you know what? I'm taking this as a blessing. I'm taking it as a blessing because this is the first time in 34 years that I have actually didn't have to make a plane arrangement, hotel, hire a gigolo. Oh, wait a minute. That wasn't supposed to come out, was it? No, but this is a time for me to reflect, to reinvent, to recreate. Mm-hmm. It is a time for me to say, okay, what do you want to do with the next chapter of your life? And not many times, because this world is going really, really fast. Mm-hmm. And because it's going so fast, it's just really hard to keep up with. And I never knew how fast it was going until I had this time to just sit and be quiet. And then what I've done more than anything else was filled with gratitude. I have been counting blessings left and right. Thank you for everything.
It's interesting that you say that because I think of this time that we're going through as a pause. It's a pause for all of us to take everything that's going on in our lives, what we had in our lives, what we have in our lives, and what we want in our lives.
Yes.
And I want to tell you, first of all, a big shout out to David Zimmerman, who suggested this interview. And I have immersed myself in the world of Kathy Buckley, and you inspire me on so many levels.
Thank you.
Well, it's the way that you look at everything. I want to go back. When you were born, I mean, after you were born, you were diagnosed with spinal meningitis. Am I correct?
No, when I was born A's factor, which means the parents' blood don't match. But because I was born in an Air Force base, they didn't have any blood to transfer, and it's supposed to transfer within 24 hours. and they didn't. So I got a priest instead to give me my last rites.
Wow.
And then same thing with spinal meningitis. They didn't think I was gonna make it. A priest again. This is why I don't go to a Catholic church. If they don't want me here, just say so. But don't keep snapping around saying you gotta go. You know, so I had spinal meningitis. And so we don't know if I lost my hearing from birth or spinal meningitis.
Well, you know, what amazes me is that for the first 8 years of your life, that your parents were not aware of the fact that you were deaf. How were you operating your life without being able to know this?
Well, the thing is, it's like, you know, when somebody's born with no legs, no arms, they'll find a way to make their toes become their fingers. Mm-hmm. Well, my eyes became my ears. And so I would lip read, I would wash, I would become a chameleon, I would be whatever anybody was being in that moment so that I would be accepted. But they just figured I was slow. And little did they know how intelligent I was, that I was keeping up with them without sound. And so, like if mom puts an apple, you know, you want this? And I'm like, yeah, you know, whatever. But 8 years old was when they found out my hearing loss. And that's really a long time to go without language.
So originally, for the beginning, your parents put you in a school for slow learners because they thought that you were a slow learner.
Well, that's what they said. You know, she goes, she's not going to be any taller than 5'2". The doctor said she won't be no taller than 5'2". I'm 6 foot tall. Mm-hmm. And then they said I you know, in the school for retardation for 2 years. And they called me slow. And it's just all it's amazing how people make comments or put limitations on a human being without being in their shoes. You know, but I'm going to tell you something, Richard. If I could put this whole world in a school of mentally challenged children for a couple of years, this world would be different. Because in that school, there were no judgment path among those kids. And we didn't focus on what we couldn't do. We focused on what we could do. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the value of words in communication, but what our hearts had to say. Can you imagine that word? But there was one little boy there that pissed me off. He only had one arm. And for some stupid, naive reason at 7 years old, I actually believed he kept that one arm at home just to piss me off. I got stuck with him every day for Ring Around the Rosie.
But there was one teacher in school who began to work with you, and that teacher changed your life. Can you talk a little bit about her?
Miss Joan Daly. Boy, if you believe in angels on earth, she was definitely my first. Miss Joan Daly taught me how to talk. No, we haven't found a teacher to teach me how to shut up. Miss Joan Daly taught me how to talk through a balloon. She took a balloon and blow it up and tie it in a knot and place it right here in her throat and chest. And then I put my hand on the balloon and I could feel the vibration of her voice. And then I tried to imitate it by feeling my own. And she would say apple. And I would be like, apple. And she's like, not even close, Kathy. I'd say, come on, apple. And I'd be like, bye, apple. You sure? And then we would fight. Sometimes we work on one word for 2 weeks until I feel the vibration and articulate it like her. I often wondered if she was from New York. Because everybody says I sound like I'm from New York.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 2 brothers.
And where do you fit in as far as this?
I'm smack in the middle.
And what was the dynamic like in your household once this teacher made these changes in you?
Do you know, Richard, I'll be honest with you, I lived in a household that wasn't connected. And I know, I even asked my brother one time when we got older, I go, what do you guys talk about at the dinner table? What did we talk about? And he goes, we didn't talk about anything. So I'm not deaf, you know, so I'd be like, always felt like I was missing out on something and always trying to keep up. And my brother, bless his heart, my oldest brother, was always getting in trouble. And whenever he got in trouble, you know, Mom would yell downstairs, who did this? So Mom could go, Kathy, Mom wants you. So I go up to Mom and she assumes I did it and I get punished and I had no idea why I was getting punished half of the time. But we laugh at it now. But yeah, no, it was just the communication. Miss Joan Daly was the only person that would always take my chin and look me in the face for me to see her lips, to see what she's saying. And my grandmother was the only other person who would do that. But it was never discussed in my family.
Now, I know that you were in a classroom with what they called a slow learner.
Yeah.
But I don't want to use that term.
You were in that class with me, weren't you?
I think so. I probably was. but being in that class, were other kids deaf as well?
No. We had a little boy without an arm. We had a girl that was blind. It was like the house for kids with all kinds of disabilities. Because back then they didn't know what to do with us.
Okay, I want to stop you for just a moment. Russell, we got a comment here. We know that the audio is bad. I don't know, Kathy, if we should continue doing the interview or if we can try to come back and fix the issue. Because your story is so fascinating. I want this preserved here, but I don't know how to proceed with the audio situation that we're having right now.
Well, ask Russell if he's deaf before you figure out if you have to fix this first.
Russell, are you deaf? Because we were aware coming into this that we were having some, it says that my volume is too loud. My volume is turned down.
So is mine.
Yeah. So I don't know what the problem is. And I want to do this interview. I desperately want to do this interview.
How's that? Is that a little better? I turned it down even lower.
If anyone can let us know what's happening there. It's hard for us to tell here. So if you can give us a comment, and we'll keep going with this. So you said that you were the only child in this class that was deaf.
Yes. That I know of. That I know of.
Now, if that wasn't enough that you're dealing with, take us to what happened when you were 5 years old.
What happened when I was 5?
When you were on the beach.
I wasn't 5. I was 19.
You were 19 when it happened. Where did I get the idea that you were 5 years old?
I don't know, but if you were blonde, it would explain.
I was until the last 4 years. So you were 19 years old when this accident happened on the beach.
Yeah, I was really, really lost at that time in my life, and trying to find out who I am. And it's not the deafness was bad enough, but even at 19, not knowing where you fit in this world. But I was working in a warehouse, and I decided it was my day off, and I wanted to go to the beach to get me some color. Mm-hmm. God knows this white woman needs it.
Me too.
And so I went to the beach. I was laying on a beach sunbathing. The lifeguard Jeep ran over my face, stomach, chest, side, and back. I was laid up for 5 years, in and out of a wheelchair for 2.5 years. They said I'd never walk again. I figured I didn't hear him. I got up and I left.
Wow.
It was a long journey.
Well, Kathy, even at that point, what was the motivating factor for you to pull yourself together and to keep going?
If I'm going to be honest with you,
yes.
I don't know what kind of show you have.
No, you can be as honest as you want to be.
I died that day at the scene of the Jeep accident, and I saw life after death, at least I believe I did. And I spent the first 20 years of my life looking for 3 things: love, warmth, and acceptance. And when I died, I got a love of acceptance, protection. I've never had that feeling before. And it was a sense of being home. It was a sense of familiar. It's not like you die and you go to heaven and you see God and you go, hey, God, nice robe, lose the sand, or not happening. It's a conversation from within. And something about that love, I wanted to respect it. Mm-hmm. I wanted to appreciate it.
And how long were you dead? How long were you?
Pardon?
How long were you dead?
Oh, I don't know. Apparently, from the time when I was on the beach, when I came through, I was already on a board, had a neck brace on, an IV in, and that's when I came through. So I don't know, because they announced me dead at 3:45 and arrival to the hospital as well. And so I'm sitting there, those priests must be onto something, But there's something about that day I was given a gift, and that gift was the gift of choice, because it let me make the choice as to whether I was going to go or stay. Because I remember saying, no, I'm not ready. My bathing suit was a mess. I had sand all over me. We got to look nice before you go.
Of course. It's funny. I was watching Golden Girls the other night, and they thought that Sophia had a heart attack. And she said, if I knew I was going to die, I would have done my hair.
I love it.
And it was a very interesting episode, because they were talking about heaven. And of course, Blanche wanted to know if there were a lot of men in heaven.
I love it.
So, but then, and there's another chapter. You were diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
And you went through that. And again, it kept you moving forward.
Yeah, you got to keep, look, this is a gift. Right here is a gift. This is life. I'm with people with severe disabilities. I'm with people with quadriplegia, person who can only blink their eyes, never be able to walk. I'm with all, and you count your blessings for what you have. People don't take the time to take inventory of who they are and what they have. They don't stop to think that their leg got you from this room to that room. They just go. They take it for granted. And 90% of the things that you take for granted are actually your blessings. And you need to acknowledge them, to say thank you, to keep it going. Because if you don't, one day it's going to break down. You know what able-bodied people with disabilities call able-bodied people? Tabs. Temporarily able-bodied. Because anything can happen to others in any given time.
Well, I mean, you've got this amazing humor, and you've become a motivational speaker. Which came first, the comedy in your life, or the motivational speaking?
The comedy. And I tell you why. I was a massage exercise therapist, and laughter was my best medicine, because I noticed that when I made my patients laugh, I can get into their muscles, because their muscles are weak at the time, and I can really get in there and work for them and make it happen. But three of my clients gave me this article called Stand-Up Comic Take a Stand to help raise money for children with cerebral palsy. I love kids, but I knew nothing about comedy. See, deaf humor and hearing humor are very different. And so I had no idea how I was going to do this, but I wanted to help raise money for the kids. And people dared me. You dare me, I'm on it. So I did it, and I ended up winning. And do you know who Jerry Jewell is?
Of course I know Jerry Jewell.
Jerry was my client. She was one of my clients.
For those of you who do not know from Facts of Life.
Yeah. She had cerebral palsy. And when she gets on the table, her little body keeps moving. I end up having to sit on her butt just so I can work her back. And I learned a lot about that. And I really thought in my naive mind, if I raise enough money for the United Cerebral Palsy Foundation, then I could find a cure for her so she could relax and I can do a decent job on this bony body of hers. And
so you had a motivation that was beyond what was the motivation?
Well, Jerry, actually, the story is, this is really interesting. Jerry is a part of the United Cerebral Palsy Foundation at the time. And they were doing this contest, and apparently you were supposed to, I sent in a Polaroid shot. You were supposed to send in a headshot, like a professional. I don't write well, and you're supposed to write why you want to be in the contest. Well, I sent my thing in, and I didn't think I was going to get it. Well, Jerry was there. My picture was staring at her out of the trash can. They had thrown my stuff away. And so she asked, she goes, why is she in the trash can? And he goes, well, she can't write. She's not a comedian. She's never done comedy before. He goes, well, why don't you give her a shot? So if it wasn't for her, I would have never gotten into that, and I would have never gotten into motivational speaking.
Well, can you take us back to that night and what that experience was like for you on stage?
Oh my God.
The first time as a stand-up comedian?
I went on stage. I was scared. I wouldn't hear them call my name. And I kept going up to the producer and going, did they call me yet? Did they call me yet? And he's like, get this woman away from me. And I was just nervous. And I was walking down the aisle to get to the stage. And I swear to you, I know it sounds crazy, but it was like this blanket of faith fell on me. I stood in front of 250 people. I started sharing my jokes. I couldn't hear the laughter. I could feel the vibration from the floor. Mm-hmm. And I play off faces that I could see. And if I saw a face I didn't like, I'd just move on to another face, you know. And it was just, and people came up to me, Richard, people came up to me afterwards and they were like, oh my God, you killed. Oh, who? You know, I mean, it was most fun. He goes, you brought the house down. I didn't touch anything. This whole new language had to come into my life. And I thought to myself, this is a very dangerous career. You know, but yeah, it was.
Isn't it amazing that in the world of comedy and show business that we use those terms to describe success?
Break a leg.
Break a leg. You killed. You slayed them in the aisle.
Yeah. Such a pleasant way to communicate, isn't it?
It's amazing.
I know. I had no idea. And the funny thing was, Richard, I was in that contest. I won the first night. And then they came up to me and said, you're in the semifinals. I didn't even know what semifinals meant. But I ended up placing 4th out of 80 comedians who were in the business from 3 to 10 years. And I was pushing around with it for 2 weeks.
Now, you mentioned that your motivation for doing this was to raise money for cerebral palsy. But at what point did you decide that you were going to pursue this as a career?
What made me pursue with a career?
Yes.
The response from people, the letters that I get, people looking, because I'm so open about everything I say. I don't believe there's any secrets to be held. You know, you got one shot on this earth. What am I going to do? Make myself miserable? So I found that people find that I'm a safe place for them to come to. I love working with young people. I love working with help them get their head down straight before they move forward. I love working with kids. You know, I have my school, No Limits for Deaf Children. And so we work with little ones. But we work from birth until 18. But
I want to share with you what my favorite quote is. It's from Richard Bach. You may know it. Argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours.
Say it again.
Argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they are yours.
I like that.
And you've created a business called No Limits.
Yes.
When did the motivational speaking begin for you?
Well, Jerry and I were working together as speaking, comedy. She was already doing motivational speaking. And so there was a company called Milt Wright and Associates. And they asked me to come in and do it too. They thought I'd be as good as Jerry. And so I was nervous because it's called Windmills, the ADA book, and it's about this thick. I haven't read a book this thick, you know, and so I was just going nuts. But when I got in front of the people and I had to talk about the book, the law of the ADA, I got nervous and I would swear like a truck driver. I was dropping F-bombs and S-bombs and I was nervous. Where they got some complaints. And the whole thing is about hiring people with disabilities into the workforce. But I had to go according to this pie chart. The only thing I liked was that little laser pen, you know, all over the place. And the pie chart, I can't tell you if it's apple, peach, or whatever. So I'm trying to do this. And I get nervous. And so finally they called me into the office and they said, look, we're getting a lot of complaints. I go, I don't blame them. I didn't blame them. And so he goes, we're going to give you one more shot. So I got the book. I had the pie chart. I'm in front of 500 people at a corporation. I think it was in Pennsylvania. And I'm thinking to myself, who knows better what it's like to be rejected from society over something I have no control over? Who knows better about living with people putting limitations on me because of something different, because they don't think they could live in my shoes if they had a hearing loss? Who would know better about being rejected and fired from jobs and losing opportunities in life because I didn't hear right? So I started sharing my story, people that I know stories, the importance of hiring people. It's not about hiring a person with a disability. It's about hiring somebody with enthusiasm, with a passion to do the job. You know, I don't care if they came in a wheelchair, crutches, or a white cane. The important thing is to get the job done. And so I started sharing from the heart instead of from a book.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. I already know the answer to this, but we live in a society where fear is the operating factor. And I believe personally that most people respond to people that are different on whatever level that may be out of fear.
I think the fear is not fear, it's the unknown. And if you're smart, you approach somebody that's different. You learn from their differences. You don't judge it. You don't limit it. You don't go, My favorite is always is with, I have a really good friend, Toby Force, and he's in a wheelchair, quadriplegic. He's a lead singer in a rock band. He's an actor. He's phenomenal. And he's handsome. And so, but every once in a while, you get to meet people and they look at him and they go, oh, such a shame. He's so handsome. Like only ugly people have to be in the wheelchair? You know, it just cracks me up. It's just the mentality. I would give any opportunity to educate that people would quit putting limitations and judgment on people. When I first came to California, I never saw so many different ethnics of people. And I made it a point to introduce myself to certain people and get invited to their house. I wanted to know what they ate, what their cultures eat. I wanted to know what their favorite religion is, how do they, whatever. I never forget, I went to one of my friend's kids' house from India, and we were talking about God. And I said, I was talking about my God. And they said, do you have a belief? And they said, yeah, we have over 200 gods. And I said, well, then I'm leaving. And they said, why? I said, because I have one God and I barely can get off my knees. I can only imagine what you do with 200.
Well, Kathy, where are you from originally? Where were you born?
Ohio. Wycliffe, Ohio.
And how did you end up in California?
Pardon?
How did you end up in California?
After the Jeep accident, after I started walking again, I just wanted to get away from all the pain. I didn't think at the time, but I just packed up a car. I was on welfare. I was living on $100 a month. My rent was $80. I had $20 left for food, gas, electricity. And when I packed up the car, I just started driving. I had no idea where I was going. I just trust that whatever was going to be was going to be. And I ended up in California, and I lived in the car for about 3 months until I met a young lady, Ann Ablin, and she asked me to be a roommate. And so I moved in with her. I really didn't know where I was going to end up. But I can tell you one thing. You cannot run away from yourself. Mm-hmm. You will always be with you until you turn around and take a look at what it is you need to eliminate in your life. You can delete anything you want, but you have to make a commitment to the delete. You can't just delete it and go back to it.
Well, obviously you were running away from so much in Ohio, but were you running towards something as well?
And what?
Were you running towards something as opposed to running away?
No, I wasn't running toward anything. I had no dream. I've never been one to dream. The only dream I ever wanted was to be a part of a sitcom. That was my only dream I ever had. I ended up being a comedian. I ended up being a motivational speaker. God had his plans. I'm not going to argue with him. You know, no, I really had no. I just always wanted to be a part of a sitcom. You know, just play a neighbor, a crazy neighbor who lip reads everybody and gossips. It'd be fun.
Well, it sounds to me, that your faith is very strong.
Yes.
What are those moments that where your faith is there? These amazing, life-changing experiences that you've been through. But have there been other experiences in your life that have made you question your faith?
There's so many. I mean, because I look at life. I don't just run through it. I observe it as I go through it. You know, a lot of people go running right through it. Mm-hmm. There's a couple that come to mind. And one is I used to live when I was in, after the Jeep accident, I lived in an old Victorian house. And it had all these rooms separated as efficiency suites. And everybody in that building was over 70 years old. My oldest was 95 or 7 or something like that. And they always sat on the front porch and gossiped. I learned so much from those ladies, and I loved them so much. Mm-hmm. And I wrote to each and every one of them until the day only way I knew they passed away is when I didn't get a letter back. But I learned so much about life, not from what they were saying, but how they were saying it and how they were presenting things. The other one that really got me was I had my one-woman show, Don't Buck With Me. And I had the Ovation Award out here in LA. And I was nominated for Best Actress and Best Writer for a new musical play. And I'm like, musical play? I sang Over the Rainbow, so wonder everybody didn't leave there deaf. And so they told me, when I went there that night, I wanted to win for Best Actress. Because if I get that, then maybe I can get a sitcom. That's how my mind was working. Mm-hmm. And I got Best Writer. And in that moment, I stood up and I swear I could see every teacher who said I couldn't do it and never be able to do it. Because I'm not a good writer. I'm not a writer. That's not my thing that I enjoy. And It was like everybody's vocabulary was going through my head and being exploded into fireworks. It was magical. And David Pierce, Hy Pierce, was the one who gave me the award. God, I love him. Mm. And I came up on stage. I had this red jacket on, and I said, "I'm so excited, you just can't tell with this jacket on." But that was a moment of you can. And that's the motto at my school, No Limits, is I can do it.
And when did the motivational speaking begin for you?
It began not too long after I started comedy. Because being the first hearing impaired comedian, being advertised like that, people were, especially parents, because they had no resources. And they were calling me and help me with my kid. And what do I do with my kid? He's deaf. I go get rid of him. He's no good. But we would just have all these wonderful people were coming to me in need. And so, of course, I want to give back. You want to give back. That's what fills your soul.
Well, like I said to you before we went live with everyone else, I've been listening to your speeches, and I've been on your website and everything. There's just so much to glean from there. I just want to ask, I would love for you to so many people who are watching right now, with your thoughts. We're going through so many things right now with COVID and how we're getting through this. What are your thoughts, and how are you motivated to get through each day?
Well, for me telling people now, I would say, one, have faith. There's a reason for everything. And Embrace it. Don't fight it. It's when you fight things, that's when you get yourself in a tizzy to the point where you can't come back. So it's to embrace it. And I know people are going hungry, but I also know, like Tony Robbins, he's donating millions and millions and millions of meals to families all over the United States. He's helping. People are helping. People out there are contributing. They're making a difference. You're not alone on the journey. You're not alone. I've not been out of my house in a long time. The hardest part for me with this whole pandemic is that I can't hold my mother. I want to hold her. I call her 5-6 times a day. She thinks I'm stalking her, but with dementia, who knows what she thinks. You know?
Well, call me anytime you want. You can stalk me.
But I say for now, right now, take a look around your surroundings and start counting the blessings. And once you finally realize that everything you need in life, you have it now, it's within you. It's when you start going for your wants, it's what's going to frustrate you. Because right now it's not about what you want. Right now it's about accepting what's here and now. What's here and now. You got clothes on your back, got a roof on your head, you got food in your stomach, you got water to drink, you're doing good. You're doing good more than a lot of people. You know, and that's how I like to look at it. So I ask people, now is the time to find out, what does your neighbor need? My neighbor still has a job. So I cook meals for them to give back. So I can still, you know, my neighbors, I have 14 kids in the neighborhood that call me Aunt Kathy. I keep telling them my name is Barbara. They don't buy it.
Now, the other layer that we're all going through right now is the dissension that's in the world. Everyone's so divided right now. What are your thoughts on, bringing everyone together and getting us through everything?
You know, when the Black Lives Matters happened, all my friends in school were black when I was growing up because we were both being rejected from something we had no control over. What I want to know, who has the power to say you're not good enough? What makes you feel like you're so damn perfect that you have the right to say it's not good for me to be black, or it's not good for me to be white, or deaf, or handicapped? Who are these people to say these things? I hope to God, if you're saying it, that you're also saying thank you for all you have. Because nobody's superior on this earth. The only person at the time when she was alive was Mother Teresa, as far as I'm concerned. The most unconditional love I've ever seen from a human being. And so I just think the Republican, the Democrat, I mean, when did they become so separated? Where did all the hatred come from? Where did all the disrespect come from? Where did the love go? Where is it all going? What is wrong with you people? You got one shot at this gift called life. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to live it judging? Are you going to live it accepting judgment? Are you going to live it with limitations? Are you going to give limitations? I just no. I am.
Well, Kathy, you live your authentic self. I see you, and I see this bright light with no pretense. This is, you put right out there everything. You hold nothing back.
No.
Don't you feel that most people, that if people are living a full life, that they don't have time to judge other people?
You always have time to touch somebody. I don't care what it is. It's as simple as opening a door for somebody, going in a door. It's as simple as planting a smile on your face to a stranger walking by. Now we can't see anybody smile.
Right.
With the mask. But, it's a simple gesture. Like if you're in a restaurant, I used to do this. I haven't been in a restaurant in so long, but I used to, I love the shoe plantation, I would go and get all that. But I would always pay for somebody who's behind me, and then I'd walk away, but I didn't want anybody to know. But it's always fun to watch that. And then when I was traveling, whenever I would see a serviceman or any kind of military people, if they're in a restaurant, if they're buying something, I pitch in. My gratitude. I could never do what they do, and I don't think it's fair that they have to do it.
I know.
Especially when they're young, like that, 18 years old, doing something that they haven't even found out who they are first, and they put them in a place of all this violence and stuff. So you can always give. I don't care how busy you are.
Amen.
There's always a time to say thank you, and there's every day you should say please.
Amen. Well, I want to ask you, who motivates you, Kathy?
Well, it's not you, Richard.
Okay.
So we have to think on this.
I'd like to motivate you.
You motivate me, beautiful.
Okay.
What motivates me is kindness. When I see kindness, I will bawl. When I see somebody who had forgiven a past pain, that motivates me. It makes me go, yes, there's hope still in this world. There's still, forgiveness is really about setting yourself free. So when I see people let go of a pain in their past, I see growth. But what really makes me happy, kids. If I'm in, like I have a little girl next door, Evie, she's 9 years old. Every weekend we get together, and we're together for like 9-10 hours at a time.
Wow.
We just stay in the moment. What do you want to do now? I don't know. Well, let's get creative. Let's see if there's something we can do, make a mess or make this, and, But we get really creative. And it's just being in the moment, taking away the whole world to bless a child, and at the same time, I'm being blessed.
And where would you like to see all of us 5 years from now, when this is all behind us and we are out there living our authentic selves again?
Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I love history. But there's a lot of history that doesn't need to be remembered anymore. I don't want to see any more slave movies. I don't want to see any dictators movies anymore. I don't want to see, and I think it keeps that stuff alive, and it keeps it in a cycle of some sort. I want to get to the point when you look at a person, you look in their eyes, not even the color of their eyes, just not their hair, not their face, but look in their eyes and see the soul that's there, the beauty of living within, and then learn from that. I am so tired that people think, I'm deaf. Do you know so-and-so? Anybody who's deaf, they think I know all the deaf people in the world.
Oh, you?
And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, we waved hands at each other.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, one of the things that you bring up a very interesting point, because I also, when I am channel surfing, which I do a lot, I see more violent images on television than I do of uplifting images. What movies inspire you? What's out there that everybody should be watching right now that inspires you?
There was one that was called Pay It Forward. I like that. I like movies that have a message. I mean, I just watched the movie Prom, and it was about a whole community not judging on a girl being a lesbian. And I love it when everybody came together at the end and said, okay, it's okay for her to be who she is. This is her life. It's her choice and how she wants to choose and how she wants to be loved and who she wants to love. Who are we to judge somebody if you can love someone? Mm-hmm. I don't watch a whole lot of movies because there is a lot of violence on TV. Mm-hmm. I mean, when we were growing up, my idol was Red Skelton.
No, mine too. I loved him.
And, I adored him. And he because I couldn't hear the TV, and there was no captioning on TV. But when he did Freddie the Freeloader, because he didn't use his voice, it was all animating. It was brilliant. I could relate to something on the TV for the first time in my life. But we had great variety shows. We had shows where, now I don't know where all these people that come into the world that are singing and dancing, but we had the variety of show. Carol Burnett, Sonny and Cher. They brought entertainment into our home. Now when you watch all these murders on TV and it sticks in your head, and then you get fearful. Now you're gathering fear in your life, because what if I go out to the store, maybe somebody will be there with a gun, and now you have stupid things running through your head. And so I'd love to see this world just go, okay, let's take all the guns and take them away. There's no need for war anymore. I know I'm ignorant to this. I just want love.
Well, Kathy, you mentioned earlier that when this horrible accident happened on the beach, that you died. And I believe you. I truly do. But, coming through that and going through what you've been through, you're a cancer survivor, you have gone through so much. What are you afraid of? What fears do you have in your life?
Well, to be honest with you, that I never get laid again.
Well, first of all, you need to leave California for that.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Yes.
I think my biggest fear would be falling for the wrong person, maybe, because I'm naive to the point where I want to believe that everybody's sincere. Even though I know they're not. My biggest fear is that I worry now for the kids with all the technology, because I'm still not up on it. And so I don't know what it can do in the future. Is this going to affect our eyes? Is it going to affect ourselves and our brain in the future? I don't know. All this electronic stuff all over the place, this energy. I don't really have a whole lot of fear. I mean, I don't want to catch the COVID thing, that's for sure. I'm tired of having to fight to live.
No. What is a typical day like in your life? Or is there such a thing as a typical day?
I do brush my teeth.
Good.
I'm going to share a story with you before I tell you what it is, okay? Can I do that? I was on the road for 10 days and 9 states, which means I was changing on the plane to do a show, come on a plane, get back out, and go back out again. I came home exhausted. And I don't know if you've ever had a pity party for yourself, but I had a pity party for myself that moment. And I'm in the office going, why am I doing this? What am I doing this? I'm doing this all alone. And on my wall, I have all these pictures of children that I've gotten educational programming set up, surgeries, whatever they were. And I'm like, I look at the picture like, oh, screw the kids. I don't want them to have nothing to do with them. And I'm just crying, and I'm hungry, and I'm exhausted. On my wall is a little cartoon of a girl with these flowers going to the heaven, and it says, God, if I give away all my love, would you give me a refill? And I thought, what's my refill? I can't ask God to do everything. I mean, I'm not like the only person on the planet. So I'm like, what's my refill? Well, when I started walking, swimming was the thing that helped me get my legs back in order and stuff like that. And so all I ever wanted was a pool of my own. And so when the people were at work, I would go in my neighbor's pools to go swimming. They don't need to know where I am all the time. And so I'm swimming in their pools. And so for 5 years, I saved and put in one of those little endless pools where you swim in place. I go, wake up in the morning. I don't care how cold it is. I'm in the pool for an hour, hour and a half, dancing. Just sometimes I go swimming, but I'm in there for the first half hour, 45 minutes, just dancing. I'm making up songs, I could have been on Broadway. I was off Broadway. So I was sitting there singing and dancing, and I'm just having a great time. And I have hawks and birds and hummingbirds, and you laugh because one day I'm dancing in the pool, and I'm always looking for the hawk, and a bobcat walked by. A bobcat. And I'm like, you don't want to be baptized, do you? No, not on. But you never know. And nature has so much to offer. Every day when I go outside and there's a new flower in bloom, I like to think it's God. He's my best boyfriend. He's always bringing me flowers, except for that one dandelion weed. I got to talk to him about that. But you just look for it. So every day, my day consists of swimming to lift my spirit, because it helps me physically, emotionally, spiritually. And then I come in the house, I have my hot lemon water, make myself a good oatmeal with all kinds of healthy stuff, and then I get in front of the computer and I start working. And then around 3:30, I hit up with my neighbor and we walk for an hour and a half, and then I come back home and then just, call my mom all day long. That's my day.
And what are you currently working on? What are you currently working on?
I'm working on another book. I spent the last 35 years listening to people, and it's amazing how there's so much similarity in what people are going through, the same kind of pain, and also the similarity of people holding on to pain. So I'm trying to work through a book that would help them to know they're not alone. That it's normal. You're not a victim. Unless you choose to be a victim, then that's your choice. I mean, that's the gift that was given to me, the gift of choice. But I just really want to have a book that's going to help people start celebrating themselves as individuals.
And where are you in the process of the book right now?
Well, I wrote the first 200 pages, and now I'm trying to go through it to get to eliminate the, how like when you do a joke, you tell the story, but then you got to edit it down to get closer to the punchline. Otherwise, people are going to figure it out for you. So that's what it's about, trying to get it down. And then I want to bring in some new stuff. So I'm just going back and forth with it. I just want to love on people. I just want people so much to appreciate this gift. I don't want them to get run over by a Jeep. I don't want them to wait until they have cancer. I don't want them to wait until they have a car accident. I want them to appreciate it now. Acknowledge it now.
Now, I have a lesson for you today.
Yeah.
When we began this talk, you said that you were not a writer, and here you are writing another book.
I know. I hate writing. I have cleaned the lint from behind the refrigerator. I have dusted pages in books. I do anything to avoid to write. It takes a long time for me to sit down and make the commitment. But when I think about the people, it makes it easier. And then, you know what? I do write with a lisp.
And how often do you have to go back? When do you know that a book is completed?
When you don't. I don't think you do. My first book, I didn't know. Well, the reason I did my first book was because Susie Orman wanted me to do a PBS special. They wanted me to have something to sell. So I wrote that book in two months because they gave me a ghostwriter, which scared the hell out of me because I didn't know what a ghostwriter was at first. And I tell you, coming into this world is crazy.
Well, you left this world and you're back. And Kathy, I want to tell you, and I really mean this sincerely, you inspire me on so many levels.
Oh.
And when that book is complete, will you come back and talk to me again?
Oh, definitely.
Great. You always have a platform here. I can't believe this, but we are at the end of our show.
No, we're having fun. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Have you ever met a gentleman named Max Showwalter?
Oh my God. Why do you ask that question?
I just have a feeling that you know him from
Oh,
somewhere.
that is so interesting.
And Peter Walker?
Yes.
You do
How do you know
them.
Peter?
You know why I asked you?
Why?
I saw the picture of you and Carol Channing on the desk.
Yes.
Max Showwalter was like my daddy. I called him Dad. He was my dad.
Are you serious?
No, he was he used to live in Hollywood, before he moved to Connecticut. And he was somebody I met a long time ago.
Have you been to Peter's house in Connecticut?
Pete, oh yeah, Peter's got so much stuff.
Isn't that the most amazing house?
Oh no, but not the house. It's what he does with the yard, but he doesn't live there anymore.
He doesn't?
No, he's in a facility now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he is.
Wow.
That poor guy, he would get bronchitis bad every year, but he was that daddy was I don't know. We were just really close, you know. He did that show. What was it called? Child of a Jesus. He had me sing one of the songs from his play, from a Christmas play that he did.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what it was called now.
Wow.
Child is Born or something.
Well, Max Showwalter is smiling down on us today, so that's amazing that you bring him up.
He's always fine. Because it was him and Ann Baxter that I was close with.
Wow. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the show, and I hope you did, and if you haven't done so already, please go to my website, richardskipper.com, and sign my guest book with your thoughts about the show. I also want to let everyone know that tomorrow night, if you are around at 7 p.m., I'm going to be celebrating Celeste Simone. She's a voice teacher. She's a performance coach. She's just an amazing person. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go out and go to your Facebook friends list. Go to the 9th name that pops up and reach out and give that person a call. Let them know what they mean in your life. Kathy, I want to give you the final word. Anything that you want to talk about that we talked about today that you want to expound upon? Anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had? Or just any message that you want to put out to everyone right now? And Kathy, thank you for the gifts that you've given to the world.
Oh, thank you. It's not me. It's the Holy Spirit. I'm just a vessel. Otherwise, I'm a crazy, neurotic death rod running around loose. I just want to remind everybody, there are no problems in life. There are situations, there are issues, and there are circumstances that are coming to your life. Some of them are negative, some of them are good. What you need to do is that when a situation comes into your life, you look for a solution. You don't give it life by continuing to complain about it and move it on to other people. That's when it becomes a problem. So you realize that a problem is something that you create. It is not something that is presented to you. It is something that you create from a situation, a circumstance, or an issue that comes into your life. So please make better choices so that you can have the best life possible. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Love you. Thank you.
Can't wait to hug you.
Same here.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.